What's up, guys? So today we're going to be going over practice test number 1 from the College Board. This test should be free for everybody. It's practice test 1. It's one of the 10 practice tests, I think, made available by the College Board for people to practice for the SAT. And today we're just going to be going through every single problem. I'm going to be explaining my thought process, how and why I chose which option, and yeah, and as a quick side note, I am a 1600 score on my first attempt, so that's some credibility right there, and let's get right into it. Okay, so Akira came directly. Okay, so this entire passage, I'll be reading the passages beforehand, and this passage is basically about Akira's proposal for Naomi, and Chie is the mother. So yeah. Question 1. Which choice best describes what happened in the passage? Okay, so for this question, this is pretty straightforward, so let me try to mark it up. It's definitely not A, right? As you don't really see Akira intruding into her home. Chie allows him in. She kind of greets him with amusement. He doesn't really barge in on you. And choice B, one character receives a surprising request from another character. This one is a bit more valid. I can see this being the answer. Receives a surprising request. As you could see, Akira kind of surprises her. Chie had no idea. She viewed him as a child. And when Akira finally tells her, suddenly Chie felt the dampness of the night. So you can really see the text aligning with this option. But let's keep going. Choice C, one character reminisces about choices she's made over the years. Definitely not, right? The passage is not really about Chie at all, and she doesn't really reminisce about what choices she's made. And D is definitely not it either. She only realizes Naomi wants to marry Akira at the end of the passage, and there's no criticism at all, so it's definitely the answer to choice B. Okay, which choice best describes the developmenting passage? Okay, it's definitely not A. Okay, A. Careful analysis of a traditional practice. Possibly. Traditional practice, so Akira is asking for her hand in marriage, but let's go back to the text. It says Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. So, perhaps, but let's keep going. B. A detailed depiction of a meaningful encounter. Again, this is also a pretty good answer. C. A definitive response to a series of questions. I would not say C. There's not really many questions being asked. This is not really the basis of the passage. A cheerful recount, no. Chie is not really cheerful. It's kind of like a somber mood, so it's between A and B. And a careful analysis of a traditional practice. Okay, so there's a word that gets me here, and it's analysis. And looking at the passage, it's kind of like, you kind of see Akira is being reflective here. He's kind of analyzing what happened, and you can see this by he's introspective. Was that it? Had he followed form? Had he asked his mother to speak to his family to approach a go-between? Would Chie have been more receptive? So he's kind of looking back at everything, kind of analyzing, and although it says he's breaking all tradition, he is partaking in a traditional practice. So asking for her hand in marriage sort of counts. So I would say A in this one. That's using line 165 directly. Okay, so it's used here, and it's used here. Okay, so he asks directly and he comes directly. So frankly, no, right? He doesn't really ask frankly. Well, let's. Being frank is kind of like. Yeah, well, actually, we can't really narrow this one out yet. So, confidently. This is not really what he means in line 65. I ask confidently because the use of a go-between takes much time. Not really what we see here. That doesn't really make sense because he's explaining the use of a go-between takes much time, but that doesn't really, like, it doesn't make sense that he would say that this caused him to ask confidently. And definitely not with precision. That doesn't really make sense either. So it's between these two. And okay, so you see in line 65, he explains the use of a go-between takes much time. So as this question is about kind of like a traditional practice where there's usually like a go-between or mediation. Mediation is a mediator, so someone who's in between the two parties asking and receiving. He's kind of like passing the message along. So we can see in line 65 that he explains he asked directly because the use of a go-between takes much time. Now if he asks frankly, that doesn't really make sense because why would he mention like the use of a go-between? But if he asks without mediation or without, someone else supporting him because of the use of a go-between, that would make much more sense and would align much more with the passage. So C is the correct answer on this one. Which reaction does Akira most fear from Chie? A. She will consider his proposal inappropriate. Okay, so Akira. It's definitely okay. Let's look back on lines 1 to 4. Was that it? Had he followed form? Had he asked his mother to speak to his father to approach a go-between? Would Chie have been more receptive? And because of this, we can see that he's kind of scared that because of his proposal, like the way in which he proposed, Chie does not, indulge in his request. And as we can see here, choice A, she will consider his proposal inappropriate. This makes a lot of sense. B, she will mistake his earnestness for immaturity. No, he doesn't really mention this in the passage, and she doesn't even do this, right? Yeah, so it says 35, his eyes shone with sincerity, and Chie felt herself starting to like him. She will consider his unscheduled visit an imposition. So it states here, normally I would approach you more properly, but I've received word of a position. So because of his opportunity, he's forced to go in such an abrupt manner, and he's scared that Chie will, kind of see his proposal as untraditional and dislike him. So not D, not C, and so our answer is A. And okay, so we can see line 33. Oh, this is a direct evidence question, so we didn't even need to analyze this. So line 33. His voice was soft and refined. Soft, refined. Okay, well, this doesn't really give any evidence of what he was scared of. His voice was soft, refined. That doesn't help him, convince Chie that his earnestness is immaturity, or consider his unscheduled visit an imposition or whatever. Lines 49 to 51. You mind? Okay. So this part is about Chie viewing him as a child. Okay. 63 to 64. We have an understanding. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. See, this really shows that he's scared of her judging his candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal, or the breaking of traditions that she kind of wants from him. So I'm leaning between 63 and 64, but let's see the other choices. 71 and 72. Abruptly his voice turned gentle. Yeah, this doesn't really help with any of these choices either. So yeah, our answer is 4C. In the passage, Akira addresses Chie with affection but not genuine love. Objectivity but not complete impartiality. Amusement but not mocking disparagement. Respect but not utter deference. C is just not correct. That's Chie who addresses Akira. B, objectivity. I mean, sure, but doesn't really symbolize, doesn't really capture the main theme of the passage. Affection but not genuine love. Possibly, but I would be leaning towards D. Respect but not utter deference. And we can see this in, several times in the passage. She definitely respects her. He calls her Madame. He straightens up when talking to her. He takes peeks at her face, gives like a formal speech. But however, he doesn't really completely defer to her, right? You can see that he'd been looking her full in the face, so doesn't really give the impression of someone who's deferring directly to her. So yeah, 4D. Main purpose of the first paragraph is to describe a culture, criticize a tradition, question a suggestion, and analyze a reaction. So definitely D, as we can see in the first part of the paragraph. He kind of analyzes, once again, we can see careful analysis of a traditional practice. So he kind of analyzes Chie's reaction. In line 2, form means had he followed form, kind of tradition, right? So had he followed custom, custom is like another word for tradition. B, it's not appearance, no, not nature, not structure. Although structure could be interpreted as like the tradition structure, but no. Why does Akira say his meeting with Chie is a matter of urgency? We can see he has been offered another job in another country. Lines 39 to 42. Right, normally I would want to approach you more properly, but I've received word of a position and I have the opportunity to go to America. So that's really why. So that's 1 to 10 done.